I had rehearsed my speech dozens of times, but now, staring at my dad's eyes, I wondered where I should start. So, after what felt like an endless silence, I blurted out, Papa, what would you think if I made a child on my own? I could see how my question had startled him. Yet, this was a conversation I needed to have. Motherhood felt like my life's purpose, but the normal paths seemed unreachable to me. This is when the idea of maybe enabling my own dream came about. But I knew that to make it work, I needed to make sure my child would be embraced by the most important people in my life, the way my dad was as a child. And that is why I was there that day. I wanted to tell the man I looked up to that his childhood had led me to imagine a potential future as a single mom. You see, my dad was born in occupied Paris in 1941, at a time where everything was rationed and distrust ruled the everyday life. He was born to an unmarried young woman to an unknown father, at a time when single mothers were not meant to have babies on their own. As life was tough in Paris, my grandmother sent him off to a small city on the coast of Normandy for him to be raised away from mayhem that war brought with it. As a little baby boy, my dad arrived in a family who was mourning the loss of their own adult son, a casualty of war. My dad needed love, and they needed the hopes and joy of a little man. It was a good combination. This was no secret in my family. It was actually something my dad spoke of with great pride. He loved to share stories about his grandfather in particular, his Petits, as he affectionately called him. Each story demonstrating how much loved he was. Like the time he was found sitting on the edge of one of those famous white chalk cliffs with his feet dangling off. A little boy, unaware of danger, enjoying the scenery his playground provided him. In this particular story, my dad would lovingly recount how his Petit Père very carefully had approached him to save him from a fall. It is also in that moment that Petit Père realized he was raising a son, his son. My dad never learned the truth of his biological father and wondered who he was until it didn't matter anymore. Because in truth, his papa, his Petit Père, had always been there for him, and he had become the most significant man in his life. This is why I went to talk to him before becoming a single mother by choice. I needed to let my dad know that his relationship with Petit Père was a key component to my decision. I also needed him to know that I had paid attention to his childhood stories and retained the lesson that a child can be raised feeling loved by the people who show up in their life, irrelevant of how they are created and irrelevant of who is absent or unknown. That a child can wonder who is their father until they realize it does not matter anymore. Papa, Petit Père, and even Grandpa are noble titles reserved to the men who are there for us, guiding us through life. My dad was given roots that made him grow into the most gentlest of a man. Love and kindness, his core values, passed down from his Petit Père to him, to me, and then to my son. My son Thomas, who is 11 years old, was created by me, an unmarried woman with the help of an unknown man. He was welcomed into a world where he is loved by a community of people, with front and center the best dad anyone can have, his own Petit Père.